Well, first of all, we do have a lot of fragile countries, and the number unfortunately is even increasing. And in fragile countries, development assistance is particularly difficult to realize, and the fragility itself very often threatens achievements and successes that have already taken place. And so it's really very, very important to remain engaged in fragile countries and to try and to use all means to stabilize the position and the situation, and to make sure that development can actually take place, that positive achievements can be realized. Now, the EU is a very particular donor because the EU is actually involved in all fragile situations. We are a large donor, and we are by definition committed to remain engaged in fragile countries. The same is true for the UN. The UN is one of the few agencies or organizations that can ensure long-term presence in fragile situations, and they do that. And therefore it is obvious that the UN is an important partner for us and will remain an important partner for us, especially in fragile situations and countries. Sometimes we are criticized because we spend quite significant amounts of money, not through direct implementation with our partners, but we actually give quite a bit of money to UN agencies. But this has very good reasons. We don't do that just because we don't want to engage others. It is really because there are many specialized UN agencies that have a very clear comparative advantage or added value, that can do things that other players cannot do, and therefore it is always a very critical assessment whether it is the right thing to work on a specific program through the UN, or whether we should use other partners such as EU bilateral aid agencies, such as NGOs or civil society organizations or local authorities. It really depends on the specific objective and a specific program that we want to execute, and we do a critical assessment every time before we provide financing to a multilateral partner. Well, I will use a few examples. We have had very successful conferences here in Brussels, where we have invited indeed not only the people from the specific country which is in a fragile situation, and the examples are actually Somalia, our Central African Republic, are the Sahel in the larger sense, in the regional sense. But in all these meetings we invite partners from the whole region, not just from the country concerned, because it is clear that it is always also the governments and the stakeholders in the countries around a country in a fragile situation that need to be involved in trying to address the problems, which never remain confined to the borders of that country. So there's automatically the need to involve other countries in the region, be it for questions of refugees, be it for questions of smuggling of arms and other things, and obviously sometimes even military interventions are necessary, or at least protection measures are necessary. And that means that a fragile situation in one country can never be addressed only in that country.